Well, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I'd like to welcome you all to the Beth-El Without Walls, back to our Shabbat evening Zoom services. I am Rabbi Dennis Sasso of Congregation Beth-El, and I'm joined this evening by Cantor Melissa Cohen, who will be leading us in singing, and Rabbi Sasso, who just joined me in the room. It's wonderful to welcome you all. We are thankful to Sherry Levine and Jackie Goldstein for keeping us connected on this Shabbat. I'd like to call your attention, as we always do, to the website, bez613.org, where you can access resources for the Shabbat evening service tonight. And I think we should start with a warm-up song. What do you think, Cantor Melissa? We were considering at one point to do doing this an outdoor Zoom service, but the weather wasn't very conducive tonight. So we'll stay indoors and keep warm and cozy and welcome the Shabbat angels of warmth and of joy and of peace. Shalom Aleichem on page 13 of the Kol HaNeshama prayer book. Cantor, you are muted.
She can't unmute.
Cantor needs to be unmuted.
We're a little rusty, sorry.
Thank you. Now I can unmute. There I go. Okay. Join with me on page 13 if you have your Kol HaNeshama open online or in your hand. Shalom Aleichem Malachei HaSharet Malachei Elyon Mi Melech Malachei HaMlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Boachem LaShalom Malachei HaShalom Malachei Elyon Mi Melech Malachei HaMalachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Baruch Hu Ni B'Shalom Malachei HaShalom Malachei Elyon Mi Melech Malachei HaMalachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Sitchem Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
As we welcome Shabbat with the warmth of song, we welcome Shabbat with the warmth of light. And we invite the Cantor to lead us all in the blessing of the Shabbat candles. If you have candles with you, please join at this moment or just enjoy the glow.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, Ladlik ner shel Shabbat.
Blessed is the eternal one who sanctifies us with mitzvot and enjoins us to kindle the lights of Shabbat. We turn to page 21 in the Kol HaNeshama prayer book and welcome Shabbat with words from the Psalms, the first of the Psalms of the Kabbalat Shabbat service. Lechu neranena, come, let us sing and welcome with joy Shabbat.
Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Naria, naria, letzor ishenu. Nekadma pana betoda, naria nalia letzori shenu, bismihirot naria lo, lechuneranena, 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 la Adonai, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. כי אל גדול אדוני, ומלך גדול על כל אלוהים, אשר בידו מחקרי הארץ, ותועפות הרים לו. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני.
Tov lehodot la'Adonai, it is good to give thanks to the eternal and to sing out to God's name supreme, telling of God's kindness in the morning and faithfulness at nighttime. We turn to the closing words of the Psalm for Shabbat, Psalm 92 on page 51. Tzadik katamar yifrach, the righteous flourishes like the palm tree.
Tzadik katamar yifrach, ke'erez b'lebanon yiseh, sheturim bebeit Adonai, bechatrot Eloheinu yapichu. Od Yanuvum Beseva Teshinim Verananim Yiyu Lehagid Ki Ashar Adonai Suri Velo Avlatabro.
In Lachadodi, we welcome the Shabbat bride that comes to abide with us for the next 25 hours. And it's very cold outside, so we're going to do this quickly so that the Shabbat bride can join us. We'll sing the first and the closing verses of Lachadodi, page 41, and then turning to page 47, Bo'i Veshalom, to welcome the bride and the queen.
Lecha dodi likrat kala peni Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala peni Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibor echad, Hishmi'anu el ha'meyuchad. Adonai echad u'shamo echad, l'shemu tiferet v'litehila. Lecha dodi likrat kala peni Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala peni Shabbat nekabela. Bo'i Veshalom ateret bala, gam besimcha u'betzola, toch emune amase gula. Bo'i chala, lecha dodi likrat kala peni Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala peni Shabbat nekabela.
We have welcomed the presence of Shabbat. So let us become a community across squares and a synagogue without walls as we sing Hine Matov Umanaim, how good it is to come together with family and friends in the warmth of Shabbat.
Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד.
The transition into the evening service, I'd like to share with you a poem. I don't know if you can locate this page in your virtual resources, but it's on page 750 of the Kol HaNeshama prayer book. It's a translation into English of a Yiddish poem by the famous Jacob Gladstein, translated into English by Ruth Whitman. I'll ask Sandy to read this poem for us, The Sunset Prayer.
I'll let you in on a secret about how one should pray the sunset prayer. It's a juicy bit of praying, like strolling on grass. Nobody's chasing you, nobody hurries you. You walk toward your Creator with gifts in pure, empty hands. The words are golden, their meaning is transparent. It's as though you were saying them for the first time. If you don't catch on that you should feel a little elevated, you're not praying the sunset prayer. The tune is sheer simplicity. You're just lending a hand, a helping hand to the sinking day. It's a heavy responsibility. You take a created day and you slip it into the archive of life, where all our lived out days are lying together. The day is departing with a quiet kiss. It lies open at your feet while you stand saying the blessings. You can't create anything yourself, but you can lead the day to its end and see clearly the smile of its going down. See how whole it is, not diminished for a second. How you age with the days that keep dawning. How you bring your lived out day as a gift to eternity.
The structure of our prayers contain always first a prayer of wonder and thanksgiving for the gifts of nature, and then a prayer of thanksgiving for the gift of Torah. Our tradition understands that we discover and experience the presence of God in the world, the universe around us, and then in the Torah, which is our blueprint for living in that world. The cantor continues with Ahavat Olam, a prayer of thanksgiving for the gift of Torah, on page 63.
Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael, Amacha Ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Hukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu, V'shochvenu v'kumenu, Nasiach b'chukecha, V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, U'v'mitzvotecha, Le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu, Ve'orach yameinu, Ve'orach yameinu, Uvahem neged, Yomam v'layla, Yomam v'layla. Ve'avatecha lo tasor mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch Shema.
Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Now we join in affirmation of the central teaching of Torah, the Shema, page 65, Shema and Ve'ahavta.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vayet.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבביך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם מאוד על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
On this Shabbat, after the first anniversary of January 6th, the words of the Michamocha, a prayer which is an expression of the yearning for liberty and for freedom, acquire a special meaning. So let us join with the cantor on page 79, Michamocha, what our ancestors sang on the way to the promised land.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אליהם. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה, זה אלי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגלום יד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, קהל ישראל.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. Help us to lie down, dear one, our God, in peace. And let us rise up again, our sovereign, to life. During the Hashkivenu prayer, we turn our attention, our hearts to those in our congregation and in the community who are ill. We invite you, as we read this list of names that has been requested to be read, to add any additional names into the chat list. And as we move from week to week, if you know of additional names that you would like to add, please let us know. And if your name is included and you feel that it is time to discontinue mentioning the name, we always pray for the health of everybody, but let us know of your preferences. On this Shabbat, our hearts turn to loved ones and friends who are ill: Shirley Steinman, Larry Baker, Levi Chisholm, Brian Donor, Angela Fry, Amy Maurer Martin, Lindsay Yegi, Jane Bashir, Erin Greenwald, Terry Reed, Harav Tzvia, Hannah Batsara, Yerachmiel Yosef, Evan Brent Kazio, Connie Smokler, Carol Auslander, Ron Safran, Lorraine Greenberg, Spencer Tu, Carl Goodfellow, Ariel Shoshana Badester Zelda, Elaine Waldman, Natalie Kane, Rebecca Maccabee, Sue Baker, Karen Reisman, Diane Marie Reisman, Andrew Whitson, Ken Kavensky, Don Fisher, Julia Whitehead, Joseph Whitehead. And we keep in our hearts all those in our community and beyond who are coping with the consequences of the COVID virus in its various manifestations and alphabetic mutations. So let us join with the cantor in singing the words of the healing prayer, Mishaberach.
Mishaberach Avoteinu, Mekor habracha, Leimoteinu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imoteinu, Mekor habracha, Lavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Guard our going forth each day for life and for peace, and spread over us the shelter of shalom. Blessed are you, eternal God, who spreads your canopy of shalom over your people Israel, over Jerusalem, and over the world. On page 85, we turn to Vishamru, the verses from the book of Exodus that speak of Shabbat as the bond between the generations.
Veshamru bnei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Veshamru bnei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Beni urim, Bnei Yisrael, oti leolam. Veshamru Bnei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Veshamru bnei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Uvayom bashvi Shabbat vayinapash, Shabbat vayinapash, Shabbat vayinapash. Veshamru bnei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam.
On this Shabbat of Holiness, we pause for a few moments of silent prayer to review the week that has passed and to renew our hopes for the week ahead and for a week of peace and for health and joys for all whom we know. On page 91 through page 106, the words of the traditional prayer, or you can add the meditation that is in your own hearts. Let us pause for a few moments.
Ose shalom bimromav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru yimeru amin. Yahase shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yahase shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
The Amida traditionally finishes with the words, "May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, eternal God, my source of strength, my Redeemer." So on this first anniversary of January 6th, we are particularly reminded of the power of words, of the power of speech. We are living through times when respectful discourse is belittled and rational debate is shunned. This anniversary of the assault on our democracy calls for us to assume the responsibility for the sacredness of words, especially the words of the documents that bind us together as Americans. The Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, the oaths and pledges of citizenship, of honor, respect, truth, justice, and peace. Over 2,500 years ago, the prophet Jeremiah lamented that Mother Rachel wept for her children. Today, Lady Liberty weeps and yearns to be comforted. It is for us to comfort Lady Liberty. Let us not allow discord and violence, deception and hurt, distrust and abusive language to become America's legacy. Let us cure the virus and let us heal the soul of our nation. The ancient rabbis remind us it is not your responsibility to complete the work, but neither are you free to desist from it altogether. Unafraid of the unfinished task, let us assume it willingly, purposefully, and lovingly. Democracy is an unfinished task. It is not just an inheritance from the past. It is the vision, the words, and the labor we gift to the future. Karl Schulz, who lived from 1829 to 1906, was a Union Army general during the Civil War. He said, "My country, right or wrong, if right, to be kept right, and if wrong, to be set right." And on the battlefield of Gettysburg, where Americans had violently turned against Americans, President Abraham Lincoln prayed, "We here highly resolve that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from this earth." Let this be our pledge on this Shabbat after the first anniversary of January 6th. May the words of our mouths and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable. Amen. Cantor will conclude this moment with a prayer for peace. Shalom Rav. You may follow it on page 105 in the prayer book.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Sasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Sasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech hador, lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech hador, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, תשים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל. בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
So let us toast to Shalom and raise our cups to Kiddush. And you may follow along on page 119.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. B'shabbat kodsho b'yahava u'vratzon hinachilanu zikaron lema'aseh Bereshit, ki hu yom tehillah lemikra kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim, ki banu bacharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, ve'shabbat kodshecha, באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen. Chaim. Well, wine elevates our spirits, and bread nurtures our bodies. So let's continue with Hamotzi as we move towards the conclusion of the service. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Yeah, Amon. You can reach out across the screens and enjoy. As we turn to the conclusion of the service, in lieu of the Aleinu, I'd like to ask Sandy once again to read a poem by Judy Chicago, well-known Jewish artist that expresses the hopes and the vision of the Aleinu in contemporary words.
And then all that has divided us will merge, and then compassion will be wedded to power, and then softness will come to a world that is harsh and unkind. And then both men and women will be gentle, and both women and men will be strong. And then no one person will be subject to another's will. And then all will be rich and free and varied. And then the greed of some will give way to the needs of many. And then all will share equally in the earth's abundance. And then all will care for the sick and the weak and the old. And then all will nourish the young. And then all will cherish life's creatures. And then all will live in harmony with each other and the earth. And then everywhere will be called Eden once again.
ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה Adonai echad, Ushemo, Ushemo, Ushemo echad, Ushemo echad.
As we turn to the Kaddish to conclude our service, we keep in our hearts the names of all for whom we mourn, the names of those whose anniversary is observed on this Shabbat. We extend condolences to those who have lost loved ones during the past month and are observing their Shloshim, in memory of Alex Starr, Anne Melvina Lakin, Roger Gordon Lord, Sherman Jack Keller, Helen K. Smith, and Douglas Allen Mills. And we honor also in our prayers the memories of those who have died as a result of the pandemic we face as a nation and as a worldwide community. In loving testimony to the faith that links the generations, those who mourn and all who remember, sanctify God's name in the words of the Kaddish. Page 131. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divra kir'ute ve'yamlich malchute. Bechaye chon u'beyomei chon. U'bechaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'bizman kariv ve'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'l'mei maya. Yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitpar ve'yitroman ve'yitnaseh. Ve'yithadar ve'yitale ve'yithalal shemei dekudsha berichu le'ela min kol birchata ve'shirata tushvechata ve'nehemata da amiran ve'alma ve'imru amen. Yehei shlamar rabba min shemaya ve'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Ose shalom mimromav u'ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. May God, the source of peace, grant comfort to all who are bereaved, peace to Israel and the whole world. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
I'd like to thank you all for joining us for Shabbat services tonight via Zoom. Be attentive to future information about forthcoming services. Tomorrow morning, services will be delivered via live stream without attendance at the congregation. So we look forward to your continuing to be part of our synagogue without walls as needed, but we look forward particularly to the opportunity of gathering together and being in community again. So Shabbat Shalom, and I'd like to ask Cantor Melissa to close the service with Yihiyu L'Ratzon, may the words of our mouths, which is the prayer upon which I built my meditation this evening, the closing words of the Amidah.
Yihiyu l'ratzon imrefi lefi v'hegioni lefanecha. Yihiyu l'ratzon imrefi v'hegioni lefanecha. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri begali. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri begali. Yihiyu l'ratzon imrefi v'hegion libi lefanecha. Yihiyu l'ratzon imrefi v'hegion libi lefanecha. Everybody, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri begali. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, Adonai Tzuri V'Golim. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you again to Melissa. Thank you, Sherry and Jackie,
Shabbat
for keeping us
Shalom.
together. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Take care of yourselves. Take care of one another. Stay warm and stay healthy. Let's hang around for a little bit and say Shabbat Shalom and open mics.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
Shabbat
Shalom.
Shalom, Rabbi Dennis. Shabbat Shalom.
Happy New Year. Shalom,
Joe and Albert.
everybody.
Barbara.
Stay safe.
Yeah, what happened to the Zitches? They were here a minute ago.
They were on the whole time. Yeah, they must have just headed out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Because
they were on. They must have just, maybe they just popped off or something. They were here.
You know how you say that one zitch makes a minion?
Oh.
A zitch in time saves 9.
Oh,
Whoa,
a Zitch in time saves 9. That's very good.
oh, that one's good,
Very good.
Sharon.
makes 10.
But shalom, Sue. I'm sorry it's so cold here.
Okay, anybody wants to join me outdoors for a little Shabbos walk before?
I already did that. Thank
We're
you.
leaving here, okay?
Dan, I like your facial hair. I haven't
Think
seen
of me while
that.
you're doing it, Dennis.
Looking good.
Yeah, yeah, is that a different look for Dan there?
It's
It's
his
just
winter
very,
coat.
it's very temporary.
No, really? Is it, why is it temporary? I like it.
He likes to
Because-
keep his chin warm.
It's keeping his chin
Yeah.
warm.
It's his winter break look.
It doesn't slow me
Oh.
when I'm biking, AKA I'm not biking in the winter.
Oh. Huh, I like it.
Thank you.
And new glasses.
It's up to Margot to like it.
It's
better
better
than
than me.
It's very much up to Margot.
It's good to see you all.
Good to
Your
see you
mom-
all.
my mom-
Shabbat
mom's here
Shalom.
too.
It's,
Okay.
Nice to come together in this way again, despite the circumstances that necessitated. Have a good Shabbat and stay well, stay healthy, stay warm, and take care of yourselves
Okay.
and of one another.
Shabbat shalom,
Thank you all.
everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Bye. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you.
Shabbat shalom. That's
Bye. Thanks, Jackie. Thanks, Jacqueline.
Good times back on Zoom.
Margot and Dan, I am Margot's father.